Alright y'all, like I said in the other video, I want you to go experience the Okefenokee. To me, the best way to preserve that gorgeous place is for more people to love it. And the way people love it is if they go and see it. But I want you to be safe. Now, there's nothing absolutely nuts out there for people that have a little bit of their wits about them. But you got to think about it. There's nobody coming to get you because you're in 438,000 acres and there's only a few parties allowed in the swamp overnight. So once you leave a certain point, the only people that are going to find you right away are the next party that's coming. So think about that. Now, that being said, honestly, there's only really two hazards there. It's going to be critters and weather. This last trip that we went, we ended up overnight 41 degrees and in the day almost 90. So that place is one of the few places on earth where you can have hypothermia and heat stroke in the same day. So think about your weather. Now, of course, check your 10 days as you go, but you're going to have to be thinking about hydration. You're going to have to be thinking about your thermal stuff. Now, it's going to be getting hot sometimes, and it's going to be getting cold sometimes, and it may happen on the same day or at least the same week. So make sure that you're prepared, because one thing you don't want to do is get out there in the middle of nowhere and have wet clothes or no way to get warm, because you're on the Chickie, and on the Chickies you cannot have fire. So there's a lot of places that you've got to think about. All right, how am I going to stay warm if something happens? So make sure that you mind dry bags, because nothing in a kayak or a canoe is dry storage outside of a dry bag. I don't care what any manufacturer says. You're not going to protect your gear in a compartment. It better be in a dry bag. It better be in some sort of a dry box. But think about that. Staying warm. Try if something were to happen. And don't forget, you can get hypothermia even on a semi-warm day, due to wind chills and things like that. So you want to have some sort of protected dry gear around you. Now the other side of that is going to be heat. Now when you get on that hot side, guys, make sure you're drinking. Do not get dehydrated out there. Stay on your water. Don't wait till you get thirsty to get to drinking. Make sure you hydrate and that you add your nutrition back. I'll tend to go up a little bit on my calories just because I'm burning so many on those trips when I'm paddling that distance. So think about your nutrition and hydration. All right, the other, to me, big issues is going to be critters. And of course, that's always, people ask me, alligators. Yes, you will see alligators like you have never in your life seen. You will see bigger alligators than you have ever seen in your life, unless you play around some of the other places that I go. But as far as numbers, nothing on earth has the numbers that the Okefenokee has. And there'll be some monsters. They don't want anything to do with you. Now, the one thing that you have to watch out for is, number one, do not create a problem. Do not feed those alligators at all. Do your best to keep your fish away from the alligators. When you're reeling fish in, get them in quickly. Don't let them sit there splashing on the side of the boat. It is not cute when a 12-footer comes up and tries to get the fish from the side of your boat. So please land your fish quickly and do not be a temptation to the gators. Now, the other thing would be right now, mating season, the bulls are bellowing. The females are starting to lay eggs, so you got to think about that. If a gator is protecting an area, they're going to be tacking back and forth in front of it, or the bull's going to be raising his nose up, raising the tip of his tail up out of the water. They like those areas. Give them to them. Just paddle around them. Just give them plenty of room, plenty of berth. I would say if another hazard with the gators would be just to drifting into one that doesn't know you're there. So although I love the silence of the swamp, if I'm moving into the pads, I'll bump the side of the boat with my paddle a little bit, or I'll just talk. I'm always talking to a camera, so I'm trying to let the critters know, hey, something's coming. I don't want to surprise them. Bear safety is if you're on, particularly Mixon's hammock. If you're on Mixon's hammock, there's bear signs, and carry an extra rope. And what you want to do is you want to pull your trash and pull your food up into a tree away from camp. We tend to go down the railroad track a little ways and pull our stuff up off the ground away from it. But be bear aware. Don't leave dirty dishes. Don't leave food in your tent. Don't leave food in your boats. It takes a little bit extra effort to do that and do it safely, but just it's worth it just to protect you and the critters, because honestly a nuisance alligator or a nuisance bear in a park most likely will lose its life. So we're just trying to make sure that we protect everything out there. So just move your stuff away from camp, get it safely away from you. And I mean, this goes for even like toothpaste. You know, I know that sounds funny, but I know in the Smoky Mountains, one of the things that gets broke into more about tents and campers things is just a minty smelling toothpaste, because it smells sweet. And the gator, and not a gator, a bear, you better hope a gator ain't gonna try to get his teeth. That's 80 teeth, wow. The bear is gonna come and smell for that stuff. So now, as many times as I've been to the park, I have exactly one picture of one bear. I know they're there. I've seen tracks. I've seen, you know, the hair in where it's scrubbed off on pieces of smilax, but I've only seen one. The other critter I would tell you to be very aware of is snakes, particularly in high water situations. When the water's high, every dry piece of ground tends to get more snakes on it, because they're all coming in, especially the land-based ones like the timber rattlers and the eastern diamondbacks and the pygmies. So, you know, the cottonmouths are there. They don't mind high water because it's just more playground for them. But the other land-based snakes will tend to gravitate toward the dry ground, so that'll kind of isolate them into smaller areas. And, you know, pygmies you are not going to see. Timbers as big as they get, you're not going to see them. I mean, I actually heard one crawl by my tent one night, and the next day it was seen in my campsite, and it was over 4 foot long. But actually, I heard it crawling, but I didn't see it. It was seen the next day. But just think about that everywhere you walk, wear your headlamp. Wear your headlamp. Watch your feet. The next morning when you go to move your boat, if your boat's been on the shore. Move your boat and look underneath it. Don't just slide it out, because a cottonmouth or whatever could come right up beside your boat. So just think about that. Be snake aware, be bear aware, and be gator aware. The trip itself is a wonderful experience, and I'd say honestly, to me, my biggest threat going to the swamp is the drive down there, you know, and the two-legged snakes that are between here and there. I don't worry too much about the swamp, as long as I'm aware of what's going on around me. If y'all have any questions about, you know, anything in the swamp, your trip, safety, tips, I am not a pro, but I love that place, and I love sharing about it, and I love talking about it. So if I can help y'all, please hit me up. I'll do all I can. Y'all take it easy.